Nice to meet you all. I'm Shannon Regan. I'm the new Economic Development Coordinator. So this is our first energy meeting in a while, so we just need a call to order.
Yes, so I would like to call to order at 5:30, August 19th, Energy Committee meeting.
Great, thank you. And if it's okay with the chair, I can kind of introduce myself.
Absolutely.
And then if you
That
guys
would be great.
Awesome. So a little bit about me. I started in the town manager's office, then I was the economic development coordinator, and I recently took on this role part-time around February, March. So I have a few initiatives that I'm starting that I'll update you guys on, and then can kind of figure out where all of you want to go with the committee, if you have any ideas, feedback, anything like that. And then I know most of you have been on for quite a while, right? The committee.
Yeah, well, I'm probably the newest, I guess. I was only on for one term.
Oh, for one? Okay, great. So this one's kind of just get to know everyone, go through what we've been working on. If you guys have any questions for me, any suggestions, even if you think of something after, I'm always available by email or phone. So yeah, great. We can get started if you'd like.
Perfect.
All right, so the fleet study is the first thing that I'll go over. So I included a little packet from National Grid's program. And then you'll also see the agreement has ICF on the top. So I recently met with our municipal rep from National Grid, and he let me know about a free program that analyzes your current fleet for town vehicles and then analyzes your usage, greenhouse gas emissions, all of that, and then shows what it would look like if you started to phase in electric vehicles instead. So it's completely free. Once we provide them the information and do some data collection, which is what we're working on right now, they'll work on the analysis, and we'll work with them to see if they have any questions or concerns, and then they'll deliver a final report. And what they'll do is they will walk through a personalized recommendation of what types of electric vehicles would be the most cost efficient for the town, how it would impact your bottom line of the community and the environment. And they also help us find financial assistance and grant opportunities to get the electric vehicles, which is great. So we're very early on in the program. I'm working on getting a list of all the vehicles from every department. So non-emergency vehicles qualify. So everything other than just the large fire trucks qualify for this program.
Does that include police vehicles?
Yep. Mm-hmm. So all the police vehicles, fire, like inspector vehicles, all the DDIS vehicles, animal control, building inspector, and assessing. And then they'll put a report, and then they refresh the report twice a year. So if we did introduce an electric vehicle, they would update our bottom line, the emissions. This is really useful for green communities as well, just to show that we're cutting down on emissions. And we actually did secure some funding to go towards an electric vehicle through the state. So we're looking to get some grant funds to hopefully at least get one by hopefully January of next year or shortly after. And that would be for a DDIS, the inspector vehicle. And then we'd kind of go from there. And then this is the timeline. I included that in your packet as well, I believe. So that kind of just gives you an idea of what the agreement is between National Grid and the town. This goes through August of 2024, so that is how long they'll provide 2 reports yearly and work with us on funding and any as-needed support. So if you guys have any questions about that.
Does this include just the vehicles alone, or is there a component that has to do with charging, setting up charging stations, costs for that sort of thing?
So they do address the charging stations. They focus more so on the fleet, but they also identify funding for the charging stations, which I'm actually working on separately than this. So they will take that into consideration as well.
So is it envisioned that the town would have separate charging stations for any vehicles for their own purpose?
Yep, we would have public access to them through the program that we're looking at. You have to have it available for 12 hours to the public, but the other time we can use to charge the electric vehicles for the town. So we can kind of collect some revenue as well from the public using the stations to offset some of our costs as well.
And does it envision any certain types of electric vehicles or a range of type? Or is it just any kind, period?
So they look at all different kinds depending on the need, the amount of travel, the type of work the vehicle will kind of be around during the fleet study. So I think they consider all. Obviously, cost efficiency is one of our #1 priorities. So they try to find the most cost efficient but useful vehicle for each position.
How is this getting done systematically? Will they start with the vehicles that get the most use, or
Probably.
just the oldest ones? Because I know there were a few new vehicles that just
Yeah.
came in in the last few
Right.
years, so.
So when they do the fleet study, they'll kind of phase it out based on years, like how mileage, when they
age of the vehicle, yeah.
And those would be phased out first, obviously, in the usage. So they'll review the mileage per year, kind of go from there. DDIS definitely, like animal control, has a really old vehicle that she just needs a new one. Same with some of the inspector vehicles. So those would obviously be priority because they're used all the time.
Right.
And then, yes, it would kind of go down from there.
Okay, and they have a vehicle that's large enough for animal control?
Hopefully, yes. Whether that's a hybrid or a full electric vehicle, still unknown. It might be a hybrid just
Yeah.
because it's large.
Right.
Yep.
Yep, okay. And they don't have any particular brand that they're working with? It's
No.
just gonna, okay. So it could be anything?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, it could be anything.
So some department may have a Honda, whereas someone else might have a Ford?
Right, of course. Yep, it
Alright.
would just go out to the appropriate, like, bidding and whoever.
Yep.
Yep. it's most
And
cost-
whatever the use is?
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So inspector vehicles can only need to seat a couple of people, so they don't need anything larger?
Right.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
So not everyone will get a Tesla?
Everyone, unfortunately. I'll put that in
Just a
there.
pickup truck.
So what's the time frame roughly for this then?
So August into September is just the data collection. So right now I'm working with departments to get a list of their current vehicles, their mileage, just kind of what they're looking for if they were to move to electric vehicles. And then October, November is when the analysis will happen, the discussions with National Grid will happen, and then the final report.
Okay.
So I can update you guys along the process. We're still super early on, but when they get feedback back and forth, I'll definitely include you all so you're aware of the progress of the report, and obviously I'll share the report when it's completed as well.
Okay, great.
Great. So that was the first thing that we're working on, and then related is the Mass EVIP grant application. So this is for electric vehicle charging stations. So I included just some information about the program requirements. This is the public access charging program. So as I said prior, basically you just have to have the charging station open to the public for 12 hours a day, 12 days, 7 days a week. Feels like 12 days a week lately. And then we can use it for our vehicles as well. So for government-owned property, they cover 100%, up to 100% of the cost for the acquisition of the charging stations and the upgrade in utilities, the infrastructure, so that's great.
Okay.
Usually it's 80% for other properties, but they go up to $50,000 per street address. So for instance, if we're looking to put 2 in town hall just because we're gonna have most likely the most like inspector vehicles
Right.
and potentially charging vehicles, we can apply for 2 now, which most likely wouldn't cost the full $50,000, and then next year or the year after, if we increase demand or we see a desire from the public, we can apply again up to $50,000. So it's rolling basis, so you can apply at any time. The funding does run out kind of near the end of the year, so we might have to be put on a wait list, but that's pretty common with this program. So we're going to apply. We've been working with the company for about a few months to get some preliminary cost, kind of what the process is. We had some site visits. We were initially looking at Town Hall, Pappas, Lemansky, the library, and the tennis court parking lot in Drury Square. Obviously, we're trying to recoup some of the costs at the tennis court, parking lot, Pappas, Lemansky, because it's highly used. For the first round, we're just going to focus on town hall. Julie, the town manager, kind of wanted to go that direction first, just so we get a hang of the program, see how much it will cost, the upgrade in electricity, stuff like that. So this is, I also included just the draft solicitation for quotes. This kind of goes over what the installation requirements are, the handicap requirements, what we're looking for as a town from people who submit a bid. We are going to use the state bid list of Vehicle 101, so they're approved vendors already, they've been vetted, they typically have the best costs as well throughout the state. So we will be soliciting quotes hopefully soon. Town council is just reviewing the solicitation now. And then these are level 1 or level 2 charging stations, which is great. They kind of encompass all of the current charging stations that are the most cost efficient. What's good about this program is you can set the rate for how much you charge residents. You can set different time limits. So say if inspectional vehicles wanted to utilize the charging stations at night, no one from the public, it wouldn't show up on the public map, like when you go on your app to look for available charging stations, it wouldn't show up during those time periods, which is great. So the town won't have to worry about ever running out of space for the charging stations, but the public will have plenty of access to it as well.
So the public, is somebody from the public used when they'd have to pay a fee for whatever electric charges?
Yeah, yep,
Okay.
so you can do it for free if you want. I mean, the town would probably look at least covering the cost of the increased electricity demand. But we can kind of, I'm sure that's going to go on an ongoing basis, seeing how profit and deficit goes. There shouldn't be a deficit because we're energy saving as well. And this will take time to phase them in at other locations too.
Now, where these are town vehicles, what happens if there's something like, say, a hurricane where power is knocked out for a few days?
Yep.
Is there a backup system to keep the vehicles going at all, or is it just, you know, if you lose electricity, you're out of luck?
That's a good question. I'm actually not aware if there is. I should look into that though. I can get back to
Some
you
sort of
about
maybe
that.
General
backup system?
Yeah.
Some have a battery backup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Some of them are solar powered also.
Oh, perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll definitely look into that.
Every once in a while, we do have a storm that will knock power out. Not recently, but, you know,
Oh, yeah.
if you look at a place like Florida,
Mm-hmm.
you know, sometimes it's out for a week or more.
Yeah, of course. No, that's a good concern. I'll definitely look into that. And as Erica said, the battery backups, I'm sure that would be included in the fleet study too, to have proofs like that for if we lost power. So I'll keep you updated with this as well when we do solicit the quotes, when we receive them back. I can give you updates whether they have funding available or not, if we have to be waitlisted. But we're trying to time it kind of the same time as when we're looking to buy our first electric vehicle, obviously. So hopefully they both kind of work off each other in time well. But if you guys take a look at this, have any questions, I can always answer any questions you have as well.
And did they give you an idea on how much the rate would be for usage?
So for usage, the company that we were working for gave like a general census of kind of just, not just for Auburn or Massachusetts, kind of
Yeah.
overall look. It's typically not much of an increase in their equation went up to, I think it was 60 miles a day of travel, which none of our inspector vehicles are going that much per day. I can get you the figure though, I didn't print that out, but they did give an increase. It was minimal, and I think the rate that they would set or suggest is very affordable as well.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
So it'd be a benefit to us and then a benefit also to the public, which would be great.
Do people normally pay for electricity to charge their vehicle?
Yes, yep, yep, the ones at the mall, I believe are all charged. Part of the program, you do have to set it up like on all the apps. Anyone should have access not dependent on credit card, anything like that. You can pay with the app, trying to make it as user accessible as possible. It also has to be handicapped accessible, which is great. So it will be very accessible, affordable. That would be our aim.
Some vehicles do come, the manufacturer will give them so much charging hours per year. Yep.
Nice.
Yep, Tesla for a while gave unlimited charging on one of their vehicles. They don't do that anymore,
Yeah.
but they did. They did at one time.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, it depends on what vehicle you get. Sometimes you can get charge credits.
Oh, perfect. That's good to know though when we go to bid that as that a possibility.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're doing with the electric vehicles. The next subject or item is we met with the municipal vendor, a new one, RISE. Matt and Joe Fahey were working with, setting a meeting with RISE prior to me taking over.
Is this taking over Guardian?
Yes.
Okay, great, because they were horrible.
Yeah, we heard some issues, so we met with RISE. Sean from our municipal rep from National Grid suggested a meeting with them, so he was there
Okay.
as well. They seemed really great. They met with Joe Fahey and I to go over potential projects for the upcoming grant rounds or any incentive programs. So some of the stuff that was brought up was at the library, we need HVAC upgrades, some heat pumps, rooftop units, the Merriam building, heat pumps, boiler improvements. It hasn't been done in a while. Hopefully replace the steam boiler into gas, that would be ideal. Town hall, same thing. We need HVAC upgrades really bad, the central AC system, all of that. Control work, heat pumps. And then for the school side, they're looking to convert at Swanson Intermediate School, hopefully oil to propane, and then heat pumps as well. And then heat pumps in Bryn Mawr, in the gym, and that was the main things that they were looking at for now between the school and the town side. Unfortunately, for the spring round or fall round, sorry, we won't be able to apply for the grant funds because due to COVID, the project that Joe Fahey.
The Swiss project?
Yep.
Didn't get done?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep. He was hoping it was going to start.
that's the gym project, right?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
and when is that going to be done?
It would need to be done by September 30th. If not, they would need a grant extension. He's hoping that'll be done by the 30th, so we don't need a grant extension.
Right.
I spoke to the state. They're aware that it was delayed again. So fingers crossed it's done by then. If not, we'll just have to extend it. But I mean, definitely by the spring round,
Right.
it will be done. So hopefully, I mean, we're aiming for the spring round. We only are qualified for $100,000, I believe now, for grant funds, just because we reached our max.
Right.
So obviously none of these projects would be covered in full most likely, but at least it would be something to consider. We can also look at applying for electric vehicles. They do incentive programs for that, reimbursements. They actually do incentives for the charging stations as well. So that's just another option for the charging stations.
But we can't apply for any more grants until the Swiss project is done, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Yep, so unfortunately with COVID, I think it got delayed about 4 times. So they started, I believe, after the kids got out of school, or they were supposed to start. Joe Fahey recently talked to them, and they aren't going to be done by the September 3rd date,
What is
unfortunately.
the Swiss project?
It's,
They were switching out in the gym, the two, were they heating
yes.
and heating,
It
yeah,
was like the heating units in the gym.
units in the gym.
Yep.
Okay.
So this would take a little bit longer than expected, but understandable due to COVID. So we'll eye the spring round, hopefully be able to work on that. In the meantime, I'd be working on the annual report, updating that, getting an analytics for the annual report for the state.
And when is that due?
That is due November 16th, I believe. So I'm working on that now, gathering just the data based on last year. And then hopefully if we have a good reduction as well, that will favorably for the spring as well.
Of course.
So, good and bad news, I guess. And another thing we're looking at for potentially for the spring round, or just kind of as an individual town project, is through National Grid again. It's the transformer replacement program. So I included just a little info sheet from National Grid for that program. So they basically will cover the cost that it takes to upgrade to a more cost-efficient transformer. So it doesn't cover the complete cost, but it helps, and it also has 0% like payback loans as well, which is a benefit. Right now, our building commissioner and electric inspector is reviewing the current transformers in all the town buildings to see if any qualify. So I'm not sure if any do yet. Typically, I believe it's before 2000, they said, the transformers can qualify, certain ones. So the schools, I don't believe any of them qualify. Joe is going to take another look, but I don't believe they have any old enough transformers for the replacement program. But this is something we'd look at if it's doable, if we have the funding, we'd look to do that. But it's kind of a smaller program, it doesn't cover it in full, but it's still good to look at and take advantage of if we can.
And the purpose of this is to do what?
It's just updating, a lot of the transformers have been more energy efficient, so they're offering an incentive up to like 50 cents per kilowatt that you're saved due to the new transformer. So it's just to basically energy savings and upgrade the systems to a more efficient system. But these are for, they called it a certain transformer. I believe it's the low voltage transformer that qualifies. So a lot of them were done prior to 2000. So we might have some in Town Hall in the Marion Building especially that might qualify. So the building inspector is going to get back to me to see if any of them do. And if they do, I'll work with Sean from the municipal rep and hopefully RISE to work on a cost estimate of how much that would cost the town, how much savings that would cost, and see if it's worth it in the end. RISE said they're willing to come out, take a look at all the transformers, the town facilities, and kind of get a better idea of cost as well. And they seem very eager to help, which is great. So that is that. Does anyone have any questions? I know I just went over a lot of stuff.
Yeah. No, it's good. Moving right along.
And then under Green Community, kind of what I already said, the fall application, annual report, oh, it's November 5th.
November 5th, yeah.
I wish it was 16th.
You just lost a week.
I know. So, another thing I kind of just wanted to talk to the committee about, I know you guys haven't met in quite a while. If you guys want to get on a regular meeting schedule again, what days work best, what times, just kind of get feedback from you guys of what works best for all of you or what you envision for the committee.
I'm open to whatever, so.
Right now I am too,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, well, I'm
Yeah.
retired, I'm always looking for something to do with my boring shallow life.
Perfect. Does 5:30 tend to work best for people?
5:30 is fine for me.
Fine.
5:30 is good?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good then. So 5:30, maybe we could try for Mondays if possible, because we're here for the weekday anyways.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So
Monday's fine.
Monday. And then do you kind of feeling monthly, bi-monthly, maybe every other to begin with?
I think every other is fine,
Yeah.
and then once things start happening, then maybe we, bring it up to monthly.
Okay.
But
yeah.
I think every other month is fine for now.
Okay, perfect. And that will give me time to kind of have more of an update for you guys
Right.
with all the programs. Okay, so maybe we can look at setting something up for October, like early
Sure.
October.
Sure?
So I'll email everyone this week or next week with some potential dates, and then we can kind of get something on the calendar.
Sure.
And in the meantime, if you look at all this, have any questions, feel free to reach out. If I have any updates, I'll kind of just email you quick updates in September if I do hear anything exciting about any of these things.
Great.
If not, we'll revisit in October then.
Okay, yeah. I think there's really nothing to talk about unless that Swiss project gets done, so.
Right. Yeah. And if in October we don't have any updates, then we can always bump it.
Right.
Can we revisit and
Right.
figure it out? Okay.
Yeah, or we could at least discuss any progress you've made with the electric vehicles.
Yep.
and-
Definitely.
Yeah, yep,
Awesome.
good.
All right. I
Perfect.
guess just a motion to
Think
close.
we're
I'll-
good,
I'll
yeah.
make a motion to adjourn, I guess.
All right, great,
All right. Second?
Second.
Perfect.
great.
Awesome. It was great meeting you all. That was a very quick meeting.
Yeah, they usually are very
Yes.
quick.